Molto animato. Although the conductors tell you, don't speed up.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, they always tell you, don't speed up. Why everybody speeds up?
Welcome to a brand new video. This is an In Conversation series where I am going to interview and ask a variety of guitarists about pieces. We're going to dive in on this first one with the Canadian guitarist Dr. Tariq Hobb. He is an international concert guitarist who can be found playing worldwide. He's currently on tour performing the Aranjuez, which is what this conversation is all about, the Adagio from the Aranjuez. Having seen loads of his Instagram videos, I wanted to dive in and ask him about his approach to playing this piece. With his distinctive hat and ease of execution, I would like to welcome Dr. Tariq Hobb to Classical Guitar Rocks for a chat about the Aranjuez, specifically the Adagio, and getting it practiced and playable. How do you do that? Let's dive into this conversation and find out. Thank you very much for your time, Dr. Hobb. I really appreciate this. I would love to gain your insights into the Aranjuez. For you,
thank you.
I've noticed, because I did a bit of a deep dive on your YouTube channel, you've been playing this a long time. So the earliest video I could find of yours was about 14 years ago. And then obviously you're busy performing it currently, aren't you?
Yes, exactly. I have an upcoming rehearsal with an orchestra, the North York Concert Orchestra in Toronto. And they're doing it on the 26th of March. So they're doing a rehearsal quite prior to the concert, only one rehearsal, and then we do a dress rehearsal and a concert on a Sunday, 26th of March. So.
Okay, so I mean, you know this piece really well then, to do one dress rehearsal.
I hope so. I mean, every time I tackle it, I sort of problem solve a bit differently. Tempis might change.
Yes, I mean, that's one of the questions I wanted to ask. What is it? Do you negotiate this with the conductors? How do you?
Absolutely. Some conductors, they ask for the BPM, beats per minute, prior to the rehearsal by email. Actually, they'll ask you, like, what are the tempi that you would want to choose? Yeah. And you send them precisely, dotted quarter this, quarter note that, whatever you have been practicing and whatever you think your interpretation would be. And then there you hope for the orchestra to be able to do it, really, because, I'm not always playing with professional orchestras, right? Sometimes I play with community orchestras, sometimes orchestras. And I like to take every opportunity. I think I learn a lot from collaborating with all sorts of musicians, all sorts of levels. Of course, when it's a professional orchestra, things go way easier. And there's sort of like a language that's not so much spoken. We just play and we feel each other musically. And we sort of settle onto things more on a metaphysical level, if that makes sense.
Okay.
There's a better reading of each other.
Okay.
When the professional musicians, they tend to grasp what you want to do immediately, and they're okay. I find with doing your interpretations, it's tricky sometimes with conductors who love the piece and who know it very well. They want to do their own interpretation, which I respect. Yes, and therefore you start negotiating and trying to find a middle ground that would satisfy both parties, because you don't want to feel like you're doing someone else's interpretation, and also you don't want to feel like you're forcing your interpretation. So
so it's an organic process, very much.
Absolutely, and it's highly dependent on the character of the conductor and the character of the orchestra.
Okay, fantastic.
So my interpretation is malleable, if that makes sense.
Okay,
dependent on the group that I'm with. Yeah.
Okay, that's fantastic. So how do you prepare for that? How do you prepare? So, because you said you change and you get an opportunity to change things every time it's new and fresh.
Like when I was younger, I used to play at the utmost limit of my technique. Okay. So I would prepare it at that tempo, that very high tempo, and go play it at that edge. And it's a very exciting performance when that happens. But it's very risky and quite stressful, actually, to always be at that edge of your ability. So now I try to aim for being able to play it, maybe 20-25% faster.
Okay.
And of course, practice it slower. And so the tempo that I choose is something that is comfortable, but also within the accepted tempi of the piece.
Sure. Sure.
You know what I mean? So I don't push myself to perform at that very edge of my ability anymore. So
Your ability is quite your ability is quite high. I mean, you post a lot of videos, and like I said, I did do a deep dive, and I have seen your earlier videos where you were playing with the piano. I think you were still in college. Is that right?
yes, exactly. I was in the
Yes, yes.
university. Yeah, I was doing my doctorate at the time, and I remember I did a recital, like with a how do you say, like a piano accompaniment, right?
Yes.
And we did the whole piece, and I remember I did auditions for some concerto competition in Buffalo, and we had to do it with the piano first, and
Yeah.
it's different. The
Yes,
piano
completely.
is very
It is
different.
completely different. Yeah, I mean, it's a
It's
different
a very
feel
different
too.
feel. Absolutely, absolutely. The orchestra is, I can tell you, it's the best sort of medium of expression. The soloist with the orchestra,
Yeah.
it feels like you're an ant, leading an elephant or something. It's a bit surreal.
That's fantastic. I can only imagine. I never got a chance to play this one with an orchestra, so it's it's one of those ones.
It's the hardest thing is when I first ever when I played it, with the orchestra the first time ever, it felt like everything's happening so fast.
Yes.
Like the rehearsal went by, so it was like 2 hours or something, and it went by like it felt like it was 5 minutes. And it's more demanding than what you think, because all the instruments are much louder than you are, and they all read very well off the page, so they
Yes.
can play the tempo right away. With the orchestra, it's a different kind of beast. You have to.
Sorry to interrupt. Do you use amplification when you're playing with an orchestra? No.
Absolutely, absolutely. You do need, just so you don't have to. First of all, you want to be heard properly. All the nuances that you do.
Yes.
Even when the orchestra is playing with you, you still want to be not pushing too much into the instrument, and it's tough to find a balance usually with the engineers. But once you get it, it's actually quite comfortable, and you can be quite loud. Everybody can hear you. It depends how you place the speakers as well. Yeah.
I would love to dive into the piece a little bit as well, if we could.
Sure. Yes, of course. Of course. Yeah. That's what we're here for, right?
Yeah, completely. Grab some tips. So, from a learning point of view, obviously you've been playing this a long time now, and you're still learning and still doing things with it.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's still always something that requires a lot of preparation.
Yep.
And something that you also try to put your heart into, because it's such beautiful music. You can't just sort of play it mechanically. I can't just depend on it mechanically. So a lot of times is sort of letting the music take over and just letting go in the moment, especially in those cadenzas. It gets pretty, you feel pretty transparent, as if you're naked on stage or something.
Yeah, completely. You are naked on stage. I mean, it's your heart, isn't it? So you're wearing your heart on your sleeve.
Absolutely.
So from those first opening chords, when you play that first B minor chord, what are you aiming for? The top note? Are you aiming for a balance of notes? What is it that you're aiming for?
Lush sound.
Is it?
Lush, seductive sound.
Okay.
That's what I aim for. Of course, you want the notes to be all clear, but you're not the melody here.
Okay. Yeah.
You want just sort of like a nice, lush, big sound, and one that doesn't have any sort of ego in it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, completely.
You know what I mean? Like you want it to be a bit reserved or restrained, rather.
Yeah.
Yet with that sort of calm confidence in the sound. So the thumbnail, the way you file it, the way you engage the thumbnail is extremely important. Just back to the thumb thing, so more like.
Yes.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
That's a bit too much of your own character in it, and you don't want that. Like you want to be a little bit sort of respectful of the story, whether it's true or not. I don't know if you know about the story behind the piece.
Yeah,
and so there's a background to it, and it's not about you. so that I think takes if you're doing too much your own thing, just let the music speak. I
Okay.
think it's important.
And
And
support
it gives
the
a
melodies.
it gives a nice pulse. You have to follow the conductor, of
Yes.
course. And
Okay.
later on, when you do, that's boom. So you're listening to the basses
Yes.
all the
There's a,
time, and especially because you don't know the style of the conductor yet,
okay.
unless you've watched them rehearse a little bit before. Some conductors give the beat before the beat,
Okay.
sort of like they do this, and then the after effect
Okay.
is the beat. And some of them want you to be precisely with their hand.
Okay.
So I like to listen to the double basses
Yes.
when I'm doing
There's a
gigs.
strong pulse. There's a strong pulse underneath all of your sections throughout this entire thing.
Exactly. So you want to line up with the double basses. I don't necessarily look at the conductor, especially when I don't know their style of conducting. It might be a bit confusing, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So that's what you want to stay with. Even if your interpretation is very free, you still want to find a way to align with the double basses. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it pulls you in. It keeps you on track.
Yes, exactly. So that can be challenging. Challenging. Not as easy as you think, because you come with some ideas, right?
Yeah. Of course.
You haven't come with the orchestra.
Okay, I mean that helps as well. So I mean, from a practicing point of view, obviously, do you have the backing tracks, or do you have your own, or do you have that music minus one?
There are several backing tracks available. Actually, there's the one from Music Minus One, which is very famous, and probably a lot of people use it. There's another one on YouTube, and there are probably others on YouTube, but I haven't dug deep enough. I don't like to practice with them too much because you get used to it.
Okay.
And then you think that the orchestra is going to do that, but not really.
Okay.
Don't forget your interpretation on how you want to do things too.
Okay.
So maybe if you're not familiar with playing with the backing track, do it, but don't overdo it, because then that will change your interpretation, and that'll give you an impression that it's going to be like that at the practice, but it won't be.
Don't rely on it.
Yeah, don't rely on it. Absolutely don't rely on it.
Fantastic. Right. Can we dive into some technicalities? Now, I know you were a violinist along with a finance expert as well, which is quite.
I won't say an expert, but a graduate.
Yeah. I thought that was really interesting. But I know you played violin, and I know a lot of people that play violin that switch on to guitar. Fantastic with technique, because violin is always that much more challenging than guitar for your left hand.
Absolutely.
And so it makes
the
guitar
intonation and the whole way you handle the instrument.
Yeah.
And even how you think about the neck and the hand, how they interact.
Okay, interesting. How
costs a lot not to touch the neck,
Oh, really?
In the guitar.
Yeah.
Taught a lot not to touch it here, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You don't do anything like this.
Yes, the electric guitar.
In violin, you do this all the time. You're feeling that. You're feeling the neck as you move. That's how you know where you are.
Okay.
And I do a lot of that with guitar.
That's interesting. Okay, that's really, because that's your technique. There is more of an electric guitar technique. That an electric guitar.
I would say more violin. I would say more violin. Yeah, because I'm like, fingers are curved and everything, but it's not.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
I can do it, but I don't like it. Okay. I can get more out of the guitar, more out of the string, especially with the vibrato.
Yeah. Okay.
This feels almost like I'm on sticks, This feels too proper.
Okay. That's a subtle change. Yeah.
It's a subtle change, but it's warmer. It sounds warmer.
It's
almost
thicker,
like there's
actually.
more. Yeah,
even through my speakers, I can hear that.
Yeah. No, absolutely, it's thicker because I have more flesh basically on the string.
Okay.
That's why you see sometimes, quite chubby violinists. They have amazing lush sound. Actually, the finger on the string, they have more flesh surrounding the string from both ends.
Yeah.
And it affects the sound. It gives it that impression. And I'm sure it's not a placebo. It's like It is true. Like with players who are very thin and with very thin fingers, they have a thinner sound.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so the tone is very much, people think the tone is here and the nails only, but the tone is very much in the left hand as well.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. That the way you attack the left hand, how you place it, and everything, it makes a huge difference to your tone.
And just the way you're moving the vibrato. So if I feel like just the bone on the string, you know. I don't know if you hear that. There's just a little bit more warmth.
There are a ton of links to Dr. Hobb below, so if you want to find out his YouTube channel, his Instagram, and his website, he is online teaching out of Canada. If you're looking for a world-class teacher, this is the man to see up in the Northern Hemisphere. Let's dive back into this interesting conversation with Dr. Hobb. Are you following a pulse when you're doing your vibrato? Are you following that bass pulse? Are you putting your vibrato into the tempo for the piece?
A good question. Yeah, absolutely. You do need a different kind of vibrato for a different feel.
Yeah.
So for this vibrato, I wouldn't do that kind of vibrato, which sounds a bit hysterical for that part.
Okay. Yeah.
A little bit more lush, a little bit wider, as opposed to thinner and narrower. Okay. But with this lush melody, I'll keep it wide and quite not too fast. So
I want to just dive into like the technical of the technical, the scales, because there's 3 scales. There's one short one, and then there's the 2 big ones.
Sure. You're talking about sort of the second time the melody comes in G major?
Yeah, I mean you've got a scale on 21, which is
right,
just after that.
Right?
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah, that's the first one.
Yeah, it's a more musical scale, I would say.
Slurs? So, straight.
Just the first one I do, because I do start with I, and then M on the second string. Okay. And I choose the fingering so I keep the string crossing sort of positive string crossing, meaning that if I'm rising a string, I'm going to string cross I, M, and if I'm descending, I'm going to string cross M, I.
Okay.
Right, so I, M. See how it crossed there?
Yeah.
Now this one, I had no choice but to keep it there, so I'm crossing with I. So it's not always the case. It doesn't always work to string cross positively.
Yeah.
But I try to maintain it also in other movements, first movement. And
okay, movement. So that's definitely part of your technique there. That's a
part of setting the fingerings, yeah.
Yeah.
But sometimes it doesn't always work. So you do need to be able to cross I, M, you know?
Yeah.
For example, or the opposite.
Okay. So that's a basic. So that's something you build in when you first sort of tackle the fingering, I'm guessing, right at the beginning stage.
Absolutely, man. It's so important because you do want things to line up without you sort of working so hard, you know?
Yeah.
Even if I do like... So that slur... So that I string cross here, M, I, M.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
And it works musically too, huh? So, here.
Okay.
All right. I'm still not warmed up to...
No, don't. Yeah, that's quite tough. Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, so that's... I hope that answers your question about string crossing. And you're talking about that one scale. Did you want to talk about it?
I want to go into that what I consider the first cadenza, where we kick it off with this.
So it's the ben marcato el canto.
Yes. Okay. So now, interestingly enough, Williams cuts that first the bass notes. He only plays from the I think the E down. So he keeps the B on and then plays. So you play all 6 strings for those chords.
So he does.
Yeah,
He skips over the 5th.
He actually skips over the low E as well in some of it. And then plays the low E on the second one. Yeah. So he actually chooses some of the strings not to, so the low ones, he keeps the melody on longer. But
That's interesting because you are keeping the melody sort of present while the chords are intertwined with the melody.
Yeah.
It's a good idea. I mean, I would do probably like play.
Yeah.
Somehow skip over the 5th.
Yeah.
If I want to do that. But I sort of keep it as what's written.
Yeah.
I think your mind sort of carries the melody forward.
Okay.
Even if you're not letting the B ring. I like it. It's cool.
Yeah.
I like that idea. Yeah. Really nice.
It's hours of listening and literally slowing his videos down and just trying to figure out what he's doing.
Yes, I see. But I guess he does it everywhere?
No, he doesn't. He chooses, he picks and chooses, and he only does the first, generally it's the first chord, and the second chord it's thumb strike all the way down.
Okay. Yeah. So there's intensifying.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Sort of like, okay, cool. Yeah, that's really good. I do stick to what's written in the Romero.
Yes.
Edition. I don't know if you.
I'm the same.
That's the only one that's published. I guess there are others that are published. Yeah, I mean the orchestras need to rent the scores, right?
Yes. Yeah, you got to hire.
Yeah. Scores. Yeah. They have to rent it and then return it.
Yeah. So those obviously there's some lovely moments in this first cadenza. What do you do phrasing wise? How are you phrasing? What are you thinking about phrasing this section here, where it's basically you and an accompaniment. You're accompanying yourself.
Doing both. Yeah, absolutely. I try to keep this sort of theme here quite tight instead of.
Yeah.
So it depends also on the moment. I like to let things be a bit spontaneous.
Okay.
So I find myself sometimes taking more time.
Yes. Love that moment.
Because you do have that time. You're alone.
Okay.
Sometimes I take more time than I usually take in the practice room, but I try to stick to the subdivisions that are written.
Okay, but that's an on-stage moment. Is that correct? Is that what you're saying? That's like, I'm feeling it today. I'm going to do it this way. Okay.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the most beautiful thing of being an artist.
Yeah.
Is that you can be yourself completely on stage.
Okay.
At least for me, that's the one place that I completely can be myself. Nobody can say this, nobody can say that. They can say if they want, but I can be myself 100% on stage. And I think that's probably why I do what I do.
Okay.
Many times in society, you have to read people and read the situation and act a certain way or be a certain way for certain situations. But on stage, you can be 100% yourself and it'll be okay.
Yeah.
Because it's art.
Yeah.
As you're walking in the street, you're not making art really. You're integrating with society.
Yeah.
Different.
Completely.
On stage, you're an artist making an art out of the piece that you are performing. And you can completely be yourself, and you should completely be yourself. And that's, I guess that's why we do what we do. Is these moments of freedom.
I looked at the videos and you play the scales, but you don't play the scales, if that makes sense. So you phrase them musically.
Yes.
The two big scales in this,
There's also a pulse in the orchestra, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And you can also do tum taki taka tum, that part here, so that you can push it in the end. But that's tricky with the conductor sometimes. That you want to just follow the notes to be following with the pulse.
Yeah.
So if you think triplets, and that sort of lands on the beat, not right?
Yeah.
So that helps a lot. You want to make the life of the conductor easier. Just straight up like that, right?
Right.
And sometimes, when you're warmed up and everything, you can push through it, but you have to hold back a little bit to make sure that that aligns with the bass.
Okay, so you literally.
Yeah. So
interesting. Okay, so you're cross stringing the trills. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So you have a boom. Right, and then the other one is a beat and a half after, so you have to sort of keep count as you do that, right?
Okay.
Whether you do the trill like that or whichever.
Yeah.
I try to do it like a cross string.
And again, on the pulse, I can feel that here. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's briefly. If you have any other questions about them, again, you gotta make sure that your string crossing is good.
Yes. Yeah. So again, you've done the hard work already before this and worked it all out.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I literally I think the biggest sort of technical issue for this piece is going to be the next cadenza and those chords. It's trying to get through the next bit and into those fantastic tenths.
Yes, molto animato. Although the conductors tell you don't speed up.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, they always tell you don't speed up. Why everybody speeds up? I tell them because it's molto animato, not just animato. Molto animato. Like, no, don't do it. I'm like, okay. Because they want a sense of sort of gradual rising of the intensity,
Yeah.
It feels always, and it's true. I agree with them in that, is that you feel that the climax gets sort of brushed over,
Yeah.
You sort of just do that, instead of. Just speed up a little bit, but not too much, or not a sudden change in tempo.
Yeah. And then obviously you're playing your octave chords, those up at the high,
Absolutely, yes.
And again, you're feeling the pulse. It's like pulse.
Yeah. That's gonna be a bit loud. Just hear them. Sometimes I do the like doubling. Or doing the triplet rasgado for it.
Yes. Okay.
It depends on the thumb, how it's filed, how the nails, how long they are. So that's probably not everyone's cup of tea, but when it works, it's really exciting because even you double the climax in a way, which is really cool.
And then from an ending point of view, it's like a coda really on the end. I think, I don't know. It's completely different material almost. And then obviously we have those fantastic high octaves.
Absolutely, yeah.
What are you doing on the ending?
The very, very end?
Yeah. The very, very end. It's such a big piece.
Notice I take time there because the orchestra's done with their part.
Yes.
Beautiful. Very delicate like that, più tranquillo, and then rallentando. So you're sort of just slowing down as you go, because you have first the
low woodwind,
the flute, that does, and then the bassoon, and then. and then with the bass.
Nice. Okay.
So yeah, those harmonics are important.
Yes.
This is sort of the soul of the baby or the child that
Yeah.
going up to heaven, which is
Yeah.
quite a nice image. Well, sad, very sad, but it's nice to imagine it as you play that, right?
Yeah. It gives it a
Those
story, doesn't
harmonics.
it? Yeah.
Yes.
Fantastic.
And then you can do
Straight in.
you know?
Yeah, straight
Everyone's
in.
flipping their pages, you know?
I mean, I'm completely running out of time here. There's so much I could talk to you about with this.
Absolutely, yeah, I know, man. It's such a great concerto.
Yeah. It is a great piece. Thank you very much for your time in this, Dr. Hobb. I appreciate that. I hope you have a great day there. I really hope you've enjoyed this conversation and you found it worthwhile. This is all part of the concerto series that I am doing here on this channel. So if you want to learn Aranjuez, there is a ton of links below. I can't remember how many videos it is. It's like 15 now. But there is a insight video, background video, there is a warm-up practice video, and then obviously I step through it bar by bar, helping you learn the Adagio from this fantastic concerto. This has been your daily dose of six-string inspiration from myself, Rhayn, and Dr. Tariq Harb here on Classical Guitar Rocks. The next video in this series with the next conversation is going to pop along just about now.